Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon, and welcome back from that wonderful lunch. Post-lunch sessions are always a little bit challenging, but I think the topic that we are going to be discussing, sustainable business models, it's not just interesting, but I think it's incredibly relevant in today's business landscape. So in the next 1 hour, we are going to be discussing sustainable business models, and it would be great if we can keep this session interactive. There are certain questions that I'm going to be asking the panelists, but we would love for the audience also to pitch in if you have any questions, any remarks, anything you want to share. The only request is please keep it positive and keep it short so that our panelists have enough time to express their thoughts as well. My name is Indrani. I am the founder of Synergy. In Synergy, we work with large corporates, small corporates as well, international donors, multilateral agencies, and governments to strategize and roll out projects that are in the CSR and the development space with a very strong technology core. Just to set the context for the session, we are going to be talking about sustainable business models. And when it comes to business sustainability, it's not just about what is happening in the premises of the business. It is the entire life cycle of the product or the service that the business is offering. So, which means we are looking at everything right from sourcing to supply chains to transportation, production and assembly, distribution, you have it, consumption, even end of life disposal or recycling. And business sustainability covers this entire gamut of activities, so to say. One very critical ingredient, and at Synergy we are all technology enthusiasts, is technology. So while technology adoption in the core business space is very quick, and it is seen as critical even for the sustenance of the business, when it comes to technology adoption in the CSR space, yes, it's picking up fast, but there's still a long way to go before CSR adoption in the technology adoption in the CSR space catches up. And this is something that we'll be hearing from our panelists during the course of the session as well. One final thing, which is the social and the environmental impact. This is something which is becoming more and more critical for everybody, and especially for companies. Given the fact that even consumer decisions are now being based on the social and environmental impact that the brands are having. So consumers are asking those questions, which is making it really important for companies to take a look at what kind of a social and environmental impact are they having across their entire value chain, so that they are able to communicate the positive messages to their potential consumers, so whether it be individual consumers or institutional consumers. So a lot of studies, in fact, have shown that across various age groups, so millennials, Gen Z, they are now really asking questions about where what they are buying is coming from, how was it produced, and interestingly, they are willing to pay more for a product that has been sustainably produced, and hence it's time for companies to start looking at and start communicating about their social and environmental impact as well. So just segueing from there into my first question, which I would like to ask Ravi. So Ravi is the head of CSR and ER at Vedanta Sisagua Iron Ore Karnataka Mines. And he has a lot of experience in the mining sector. He's worked with Dalmia Bharat, he's worked with Hindalco and Vedanta, and has been instrumental in landing some very impactful community projects, right? So, so Ravi, when it comes to specifically the extractive industry, it's really important for the company to have that social license to operate where you have your plants and your mines, right? So could you tell us a little bit more about, how do you see this? And also, it's a complex situation, right, when you're trying to open a mine in a community. So how do you manage those complexities so that, in a way that it leads to a win-win situation for the community as well as for the company?
Yeah, thank you. Majorly, I will talk what actually practically where the things in a field. The mining industry is one of the challenging to run success like sustainabilities, or the people or always see mines is a very profitable business, and high, whatever the amount is getting is a very good amount they are getting from utilizing our resources, where naturally, like in a locally where it's available in different segments. But as a SOLO, means social operator license, whatever we speak on that, it's a acceptance is very important with the community. So when we start our business or we start our mining or whatever the greenfield projects we talk, there the acceptance from the community and creating awareness from the industries. So what industry going to do here and what they are planning, how they are planning, and that awareness we need to create in a community level. Then their acceptance is a very important. And the people, like-minded people are there, some business oriented, like the directly where they are appointing or they are getting the businesses for a newly like whatever we are getting some like setting a new unit or mining is starting. So that time they feel that okay, mines is starting, so we will get the job, or we will get the businesses, or we can run the businesses here on like so that is their mindset. So local hirings and local job opportunities, creating the job opportunities, and one more, all this industries will come like okay, wherever we can decide, we can put the plant, but mines is not like that. Mines where is available, we need to go there, and we need to mine. So it's a natural resource. So there is no any like highways, like road connective transports, and there is no any like the village is there. From village 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers away we can put, so we can avoid the like environmental hazards or something like that. There is no like we don't have that options. So we need to lead the thing, what exactly is there, with them only. So that is a very challenging job for a business running things. So whenever managing the acceptance thing, creating the thing is there, that is very very important in a long term projects. And creating awareness is a highly we can say it is very important in run the businesses, the mining sector, we can say.
Thank you, Ravi. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Managing community expectations would be like critical for an industry such as yours. So looking now at sustainability from the perspective of a social entrepreneur. So my next question is for Portia. So Portia is a social entrepreneur who has a media background, but she has blended it with her mission to serve. So after having worked in esteemed media houses like Times of India and CNN Network 18, she has now decided to drop everything and set up Planet Spiti Foundation, and that too at the in a village which is at the highest village in the world, at 15,500 feet. So she works with the local communities there, trying to incorporate sustainable practices, and also works on children's education. And all this in a place where it's sub-zero temperatures throughout the year, minus 40, touching minus 40 in winters, I understand, and no internet, very difficult terrain. So tell us, Portia, what's your journey been, and what are some of the challenges, which would be very specific to the area that you're working in? What are some of the challenges that you faced, and what are some of the innovative solutions that you have adopted to address those challenges? And in the same breath, it would be nice to hear from you what kind of resources would actually help you to be more impactful, because I'm sure there'll be people in the audience who might want to associate with a cause such as yours.
Thank you so much, Indrani, for the beautiful question. I think the question also kind of answered a bit of your question. Talking about challenges, living at 15,500 feet in the remote Indian Himalayas is, I think, in itself a big challenge because every breath is a conscious effort. So there are times when we have to actually drop everything and take deep breaths to just continue to live. So, and for me, it was very difficult also because I am not born and brought up there. I moved there. I went to Spiti in 2013 and I loved the place and I wanted to come back someday, like pack my bags and be there for good and create an impact. So thankfully, I'm so grateful that I got that opportunity and I started from scratch. So we started teaching kids under a tree in 2020, the lockdown year. And from there, now we are running the world's highest free boarding school for the underprivileged kids of Spiti Valley. And the challenges that we have includes the difficult, I wouldn't say difficult because it's a negative word. So let's talk about challenging terrain, the geography in itself. There is not even a single tree in the entire village that we work in, and not even in the next 5 villages, I think. So there are trees in the entire Spiti Valley that we can count on our fingers. So the oxygen level, the weather, the extreme climate that we have, the temperatures dropping down to minus 40 in the winters. So right now it's super hot for me. And I feel like I've been put in a pressure cooker somewhere and I'm not being able to breathe. And the air is thin, of course, the oxygen level is very, very less, but it's pure. Here it's kind of another challenge for the city people, I think. But talking about Spiti, not just terrain and climate, वो तो है ही. उसके अलावा, I think what we have is the leadership that we lack over there. There is lack of education, quality education. There is lack of awareness. There is lack of any leadership in the sense there's nobody who could show us the way, you know, who could lead the way and we could follow. So when I went there, and what we are trying to do is build a green school, build a green community for Spiti, because the Indian Himalayas, people think about it, they think about it as green, but it is not. Spiti Valley is a cold desert and there are no trees. So it's not green. So we want to kind of try and implement some practices that can actually make it go back to green and do organic farming, because farming is, again, the resources, the knowledge, it is so limited. The farmers are only limited to growing some few crops that they have been growing for the past so many years now. The soil is getting depleted. And when we talk about leadership, there are no big major leaders that we can actually follow. You know, like we have Dr. Sonam Wangchuk in Ladakh. So we don't have someone like that in Spiti, which we also, I kind of miss a lot. So that would have been great. And apart from the knowledge, the terrain, the geography, I think lack of resources. Again, when Indrani talked about funding and non-funding, funding, yes, funding is very important because, again, without money, what can we do? So the cash flow would be great. But then, apart from money, I think non-funding resources would be like, you know, volunteers, expertise, knowledge sharing. That's very important. If we don't have knowledge sharing, if we don't have someone to share, to come there, to actually be there on the ground and show us the way, how are we going to implement so many things that we want to do? Starting from a school. Why did I start from a school? There are many plans for Planet Spiti, but we have to start from school because I believe education, and only education can transform lives. So we started with education. We want to move on to health awareness, ecotourism, talk about responsible tourism a bit later. Thank you, Indrani.
Thank you, Portia. So really interesting insights there, and I think a lot of scope for, you know, for anybody, organization or in an individual capacity, if you want to get associated, do reach out to Portia for this, because there's so much scope for doing, you know, good work on the ground here. So moving from communities to my favorite topic, which is technology. My next question is for Dharmesh. So Dharmesh has over 20 years of experience in the CSR, sustainability, and GRI reporting space. He is currently heading the Bansidhar and Ila Panda Foundation, which is the social arm of Indian Metals and Ferroalloys. And his expertise, when his profile came to me, it was like literally 3 pages long. So his expertise is in several areas, including watershed, livelihood, sanitation, waste management, the list goes on. But one of the things that really stood out for me, Dharmesh, is that you've been instrumental in establishing robust M&E systems and data-driven decision-making. So would really be interested in knowing how you've actually leveraged technology and data-driven decision-making, especially in the CSR space.
Thank you. So, Indrani said so much of the things, but that has come a long way. It's the 20 years which has come, and then add on few of the things like we do in our graduation. Every semester we had 6, and at the end we say that we have studied 24 subjects. So it's like the same way. So one of the challenge which Ravi said that, we don't have an option, we have to go where the mines are. So I am from the mining industry, IMFA, which is into the chrome. We are one of the largest producer of chrome, and prior to this I worked with JSW for 17 years, and also the financial sector. So each sector has their own different way of having the data. In case of her, she choose to be at a difficult place. They don't have a choice but to be at the difficult place. So when I say sustainability, I think that is something both has chosen to be sustainable in the place, because the company won't be able to sustain if they don't have a backward integration. That's the mining and the raw material. She said, enough of now journalism, let me go have some peace of mind. But she realized that, even there the resources are scarce. So any blank jacket, if I put it like, this is sustainable, I don't think so that would sustain anyway, because it differs from village to village, district to district, state to state, country to country. So, the first idea to make anything sustainable is whether that project we have taken is sustainable, or there are challenges to make it sustainable. Being in industry, it's difficult, or it should not be good to name the industries that how that challenges work. Like for a company like TikTok, was accepted by the people, but rejected by the governance, right? Same way is the Paytm, rejected by the governance, it's in startup. So any of our project in the social sector is in startup. If it works, it can achieve a milestone of reaching million peoples, but the data duplication which he spoke about, the Das spoke about the data duplication, or capturing the data in right way. A small example I can give, it's like in midday meal. Most of the companies are into the midday meal, while at the same time government says by up to 2028 I'm going to give free food to all of them. So either we are giving or government is giving. That will be a question. So if we say we are serving, government will say, and that's true in few of the states, you cannot write that you are feeding the people, because government is feeding them. So your data would be rejected, right? So first thing is to understand that whether my project which I am going to do is sustainable, and what are the challenges if I want to make it sustainable. Then comes the another part is how innovative I have. If because some solutions are already in the market, it's better to adopt them rather than innovating and wasting the time. So, already somebody has spent 2 years, 3 years, 5 years in that sector, innovating the things, I think you will be able to adopt it. If it is not adaptable to your conducive situation, you make one. Third part is it should always be a data driven, which I am going to, focus on, because if you are not into the right mix of it, it is going to fail. And the best example is most of the companies worked well during the corona, because people were in the house. As soon as people went outside, the businesses started collapsing, because it was only the home sheltered businesses. So enough of data, and I'm talking about something which has started as a social sector initiatives and has collapsed, like Educom, 400 billion company, now it's nowhere. We have another Byju's on the making, right? So right data and right mix of it will not work. So, what data you are bringing to the people, just acquiring something from outside, like in business we do the acquisitions, but in social sector we just get the ideas from other sectors and we start implementing, and after a few years we said this was my idea. So it was, sometimes and very challenging. So I think the third part is to create an ecosystem that we all coexist with that data and everybody is comfortable. I'll give you a simple example that we all know that, if person is ill, he can go to doctor and he can be cured, right? As simple as that. So we know the solutions for the malnutrition as well as. If we take it to a child, to a doctor, keep it for 14 days, he or she may survive and come out of it. So when everybody knows this, simple solution on paper and pen, why aren't we able to remove the malnutrition from India? So again, I'm trying to say it's not a straight jacket that you put something, you work on it and you close it. It doesn't work that way because you have to change the entire system. So when you take a project, when it is data driven, I think it should be scalable. You can be successful in one village, you can successful in two, but can that be successful in all the villages? That would be a challenge. And I think the most important part, I know everybody agrees to disagree, is the sharing. I think one of the panelists, she said that we are, capturing the data for last 13 years and we are ready to share our data with anybody so they don't have to share with others. I think when that comes, I think most of the work of investing a lot of money into creating something and just labeling it that we did it, I think it's better to adopt and move on. That's my take on taking any of the areas as sustainable.
Thank you, Dharmesh. Really interesting insights and forward-looking thoughts, I would say, especially when it comes to data sharing, and very interesting insights on data, ensuring data authenticity as well. Because so much depends on this, and you're sharing your data. Your entire story lies around the data that you're capturing. So making sure that the data is authentic is, I think, it's of very prime importance. Coming now to my fourth panelist on my right is B. Sai Prasant. He is a passionate restaurateur. He's a curator of not one or two, but 4 distinctive brands, and he's a fitness enthusiast. So the brands that he has curated are Boxomania, That Bicep Story, Wawa Biryani, and Anubhava Fine Dining Restaurant. So a really interesting journey. He's also a lifestyle and a wellness coach, and he's also an organic food enthusiast and promotes organic food for sustainable and healthy living. So I think this is something which really resonates with all of us, especially post the pandemic. It's like very high on everybody's priority. So any questions you have, he's your man. So tell us, Sai, at Anubhava Fine Dining Restaurant, which I think you're going to be talking about today, what is your sustainable business model?
So good afternoon, everybody. See, what exactly is our business model? Is there is nothing to be very much specific. At first, we aim to focus on the awareness for the customers. So when we talk about focusing on creating an awareness, first we should know like whom are we to dictate terms. So that doesn't happen. And you become like a dictator. So at first you have to create a community. That is the key aspect over here, creating a community, a bonding to the customer. It happens very slow. It's a very slow process, like it's like making a child grow slowly. And it's not about commanding to your team members. It comes down to like you ask questions to your team so that they understand how much, we can understand how much the team knows about the organizational values. So in that way, we can build a very strong team. Also, we conduct lots of workshops along with the farmers. We visit native seed banks and we collect rare varieties of vegetables. And then again comes the own difficulties and challenges, because when we visit the native seed banks, we go to the farmers directly. We procure the vegetables, which are like heirloom varieties. which are not commercially available everywhere, and nobody knows about that. So we create a food festival where we introduce all these dishes. Before that, lots of things goes into making. We strive on making the best flavor for each vegetable, which is heirloom variety, because the taste, texture, flavor, everything is completely different. So along with that, we aim on reducing the food wastage, and we also plan on giving a compostable packing, things like that. So it also, I feel it goes down to the personal integrity, because we should have a professional integrity, and ethical decision making is very important in this aspect, because I had a customer who gave his marriage order for 2,000 people. It was a huge fat wedding. And he was like, you can do whatever you want to, but I want the food to be tasty. You can add MSG. I want the food to be colorful. You can add colors to it. So it was completely my choice. But we went and sat for like 3 to 4 sessions, and then I was giving him awareness about the organic farming, and how we can make the food colorful by just adding colors obtained naturally from the flowers. So all these things, we educate the customer slowly. He also understood. We also added lots of millets. Why millets? Because it consumes less water when you do the farming. So all this way, we are planning to reduce the carbon footprint. Also, we give the reused oil to, which most of the restaurants do this, but this goes to the RUCO. It's a government authorized. They take the oil and they use for oil recycling. So all these ways, we directly or indirectly influence the customers. Also, we go to the rural places in like villages, and then we call all the elder people there and create a cooking contest in our restaurant, so that we gain the recipes which are very rare, which are traditional, and then we search for those herbs. We source it locally. We add it into the platter. We create fusion with the foods. So it's an exciting journey, but it is also a tedious process. It happens very slow, day in and day out. So I think I have answered the question.
Thank you so much, Sai. Really interesting that, all the various things that come to mind when you think of a sustainable business in the context of a restaurant, local producing, working with the farmers directly, sourcing from them directly, looking for local herbs, using ingredients that use, that use less resources, like millets use less water, you mentioned, and at the same time creating that awareness in the community. So you're kind of, covering the entire gamut, which is like really interesting. So at this point, any questions from the audience, any comments?
Hi, I am Geeta Lama, and I'm the Chief Communication Officer for Bal Raksha Bharat. It's a child rights organization. And thank you to all the panels for such insightful comments that you made about sustainable business models. But I would like to ask, while you talk about giving back to the community and raising awareness, where do you see children at the center of sustainable business models?
Thank you so much, Geeta, for the question. I would like to speak on this because I am already running this free school for little kids. So I would talk about the small practices that we've started. I'm not an expert on this, but we've started doing community service classes where kids participate in any sort of causes that they can come up or I can come up with. So the latest one that we followed was dental health awareness, where the kids went to each houses and they distributed free dental kit, which comprised of toothbrushes and toothpaste, and gave it to the villagers, and also told them that you have to brush twice daily. It's a very cute video. If you want, I can share it with you. And so doing those things, then waste management, telling them that this is dry waste, this is not dry waste, so you have to put it here, put that there, and teaching them small things like water conservation, because we are at that height where water is very scarce, where there's a huge crisis, water crisis there. So we do a lot of water recycling also. So in case we are washing hands only, which are not very dirty, so we keep that water, we store that water to use for watering the plants, or for our other cleaning activities that don't require absolutely clean water. So by following these small practices, I think throwing garbage here and there, telling them to, like, they also have learned so much that when the tourists are there and then they see someone throwing a wrapper on the roadside, a little 3-year-old goes up to them and tells them, throw it in the dustbin or take it back. So I think that's a small impact, and where I can see that children can play a strong role in sustainable business models, because right from their childhood, if they are trained or if they are made to see these things and follow these things themselves, they will be the part of that system when they grow up, where we are talking about ecotourism, responsible tourism, and especially in the mountains, we need to preserve the environment there. So I think it's going to be a good game changer in Spiti Valley at least. Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. And I completely agree with you. I think children are the father of mankind, actually, as far as, giving lessons which are more sustainable practices goes. And which is why I would like to request to the rest of the panels to, really consider the fact that when you're talking about mining and you're trying to promote awareness or support the community that's working, it's very important to not just kind of raise awareness, but also provide support to the children, because they see mostly what happens is, people who are working on mines are from poor backgrounds, financially poor backgrounds, I would say. The children get most neglected. So I'm requesting that, please, whenever that you do consider a CSR activity, do consider the fact that it is in a family unit, if the child is supported, the family gets supported much more. So that's one request, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just to add a small point to that, when corporates take up CSR, I mean, every corporate has their CSR vision, and when they take up a particular intervention, it is, with some thought goes into it. So either, oftentimes what I've seen is that CSR interventions which are aligned with the core business, they tend to be more, long-term, and they tend to be more impactful, and they tend to create a win-win situation for the community as well as for the company concerned. A simple example could be, let's say there's an insurance company, which works on road safety. So if there are fewer road accidents, clearly it's a business benefit for the company, right? So an insurance company working on creating awareness on road safety for children as a CSR initiative is something which, which helps that company to create those good practices, which in the long term will lead to fewer accidents and hence also a business benefit for them. While of course at the same time, empowering the children to be safe road users and everything. So something which, which comes full circle tends to last longer and has, a better impact on the community as well as the company.
Absolutely agree with you. Thank you.
My 2 cents.
Also, just to add on to you, that, when you talk about taking care of children in sustainability, I think the sustainability starts with the children rather. So even in today, if you go by the total fund, maybe 25,000 crore we are getting as an CSR fund per year. Today also 60% goes into the health and education. So I think it starts with children. In fact, the other 40% are fighting for it, that why 60% goes into it. But as we know that still the basics are not met, as per the Maslow's hierarchy, which we saw in the morning in a different context. But as we move forward, most of them, even the environment, another 10% you think, 70% goes into managing the children only. So India is safe in terms of getting funding for the children.
Yeah, I am Vijay Dutt. I am General Manager HR. Regarding the sustainable business models, my question is regarding this mining activity. So I happen to see from very close quarters the effect of mining on the surrounding areas. So what I noticed there was always a struggle, a conflict between those families who are dependent on mining. I saw thousands and thousands of people, the families dependent on mining, and they flourished, they prospered also. And the other people who suffer because of the mining activities, the pollution, and the other aspects, the other people who are suffering from that. This conflict was always there. And what I noticed, like Vedanta and many other mining companies, whatever they do, running hospitals or schools, sometimes it is viewed as a philanthropic work, but as a sustainable business model, still we are yet to go ahead as far as doing business in a very sustainable model. So how Vedanta is going about that, or what is your future plans for that?
Thank you for the question. As Vedanta, doing very unique projects in not only in where mining operations are there, so like Nandgarh projects where we are doing it in all over India. It's one is, and as you said, sir, that the benefit who are getting from the mines on ground, there one side will be there, and who are affecting the mines, there will be one another side. That is the in all businesses like is there, but thing is that the how we are mitigating the risks, like hazards, like majorly the environmental impact is happening, and how we are stakeholder engagements we are doing, and we have many flagship projects like where we can from grassroots level, like educations, from education to health, and many agriculture, like water. We have many projects in that, but stakeholder engagement is a very high impactful, because the people were connecting with the company, and they will be decision makers. We involve the community people to take how how we can go further, and we involve the community people for taking decisions, and environmental hazards where we are mitigating, and we are making a lot of proactive projects in mining industries, we can say. I think.
Yeah, so I am not going to speak about the mines, though being from that industry, but it's very easy that we say that this is a beautiful hall, we all are enjoying, had a great lunch, had a good tables and everything, but we still are not aware that what goes behind the stage to put up this hall. So the same way, when we see the mining industry, it's easy to see the dust coming out of it. But we enjoy the iPhone 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, any chip making or anything, even the seats or the chair you are sitting are made out of the same iron. So it's very easy to blame an industry which is seen. And down the line, we all are in Mumbai, go 100 kilometers away to Kalyan or the Tansa Lake, people don't have a water. But the entire Mumbai is getting the water from the same dam. So, it's like ignoring the things which we want to and pointing the things which we can is again not sustainable. If it has to be sustainable, if we are blaming something, I think it has to be done very holistically. If you are going to cut the jungles, there won't be a water also. And when there is an available water, so I don't know how many have done MSW or know the basic principles of social work. I think it is something which you have to help themselves to help others. And that's where everything begins. So when it comes to putting up the resources, we know that particular people will get the water 4 hours, and there are people who will get not even for the half an hour. I think somewhere it's controversial, but let's not forget the Narmada. It took a long way to build a dam, and at the same time the impact it has created. Positive, negative, it's again on us to discuss.
Okay, so thank you so much for the responses, and in the interest of time, moving on quickly to the next question, and we have around 15 minutes left, so quick responses from the panelists on the next set of questions. So my next question is from Ravi again. So Ravi, I'll ask a more generic question from you this time. So what do you think are the pillars of business sustainability? You've been in the space for more than a decade. what do you think are the pillars of business sustainability, and specifically, what role do you think does CSR play in the whole business sustainability space?
Uh, any businesses we talk about the sustainabilities or so in that I see in three lenses in what are the pillars means. So one is the economically where we are investing and how we are getting amount and we are getting profit or not. That all the discussion will be happens. And second one, environmental sustainability we can call the second pillar. So where we are resource mobilization and how we utilizing the resources and how we are contributing like in renewable energy we are utilizing or not. So and how we are spending on resources. So that is a second one we can say. And third one is a social responsibilities we can say. So in that majorly, how we promoting the our social diversities maintaining and how responsibilities we are creating in a community or how we are engaging our people like employees, stakeholders and our supply chains teams. So how we working with the communities in step by step. So that is a very I can say and engagement in the community in our activities. So that is also as a the three pillars we can talk. This is done in generally we can say, and also respecting the rights, human rights, respecting in a social sustainability we can talk.
Sure, thanks. Similar question from you, for you as well, Dharmesh. What do you think are, what would be the three key messages that you would like to leave the audience with when it comes to, sustainable business models?
So I think, again, I'll start from where I stop. One is value creation. I think whatever you do, if you're going to create any value out of it, people are going to accept it. Second, it should be the part of the three pillars, that's social, economic and environmental. If one of the pillars is not going to work, your business or your NGO or your work with any small sector will collapse. And second, when you have this first and second point very strengthened, I think we have to think beyond profits. So I can say, you don't go for the job interview and don't negotiate the salaries, but I think if you are eligible, people are ready to pay you.
Interesting. Thank you. So my next question is for you again, Portia. So you are working, in a given geography and doing multiple types of interventions with the communities that is present there, right? So what is, what is your plan for making this into a sustainable business model? I think we discussed ecotourism and certain other things. So what is it that you are thinking of so that this becomes a sustainable business model for you?
Thank you again for the question. So we would want to, so quickly giving the answer to this question is, we want to weave education, community development, health awareness, youth engagement, and cultural preservation into one cohesive plan as ecotourism. So tourism shouldn't only be restricted to just people coming in as tourists and enjoying the place and going back. It should actually also generate income for the local communities, and also through ecotourism we need to also promote organic farming, also promote preservation of food in that region, and also the cultural preservation, like create a cultural museum over there where the culture is actually evading, it's fading, right? So we need to preserve that. We need to preserve the language because we don't have any books or academic resources available on the Tibetan local language, which is called Bhoti. It is very difficult to find books on that, even in CBSE or NCRT. So we don't find books on that. And we need to preserve all these things in order to preserve that pristine, serene landscape and the region of Spiti Valley. So I think ecotourism would include generating income for the local communities. Organic farming would give them more scope to produce more kinds of crops or produce whatever they are producing better and give them better livelihood options and yes, have a responsible tourism over there and not just, we won't have to do cleanliness drives regularly. It will always be clean. So that is the goal, and I think through that, by generating income for the local communities, preserving the culture, also taking care of the environment, and in the process educating not just young kids, also the local youth in becoming, responsible tourist guides. So I think that way we can actually generate income for the entire local community and also be able to showcase Spiti's local culture and the place very well in front of not just Indian tourists, also the foreign tourists who visit there every year. So thank you, Indrani, for the question and the opportunity, and love you, Mumbai.
Thank you, Portia. Most of us have the intent to do good, but not all of us have the courage to actually, drop everything and set up something in a completely, new place, and that too such a difficult, location. So, kudos to you for that. So the last question from my end is for Sai. So, these days we hear of a lot of lifestyle diseases, amongst all age groups, but especially amongst youth. So you are an organic food enthusiast, local native variety of food enthusiast. So what kind of role does, this kind of a lifestyle change have in preventing lifestyle diseases and helping us to have a more, healthy life?
Okay.
Especially in the context of youth, but in general also. And also one thing that I'm really curious to know, of the entire amount of food that we consume in a day, what portion should be coming from organic sources?
Okay, so let's start with introducing local and seasonal varieties, because of late we have been seeing lots of lifestyle diseases, especially among the people in 30s, because before the lifestyle disease age factor was 50, now it's come down to 30. So let's do small steps. Let's focus on starting something local and seasonal availability. So let's eat whatever is within the 10 kilometers radius availability, so that our body is used to that tropical climate, and we need not have any imported food. Say when you get an amla for 10 rupees, you need not get a kiwi for 40 rupees, which is imported. Or when I mean being seasonal availability, you can wait for the season of Kashmiri apple till late August and have a Kashmiri apple rather than going for a New Zealand Royal Gala, which is imported. So all this plays a role in sustainable agriculture as well as supporting our local farmers. Also, I feel there is food everywhere. So there is food security, but where is the nutritional security? Because 60% of the Indians, I have come across a research and a survey as well. It says 60% of the Indians are low in vitamin D and other vitamins as well. So this bothered me a lot, because there is food availability everywhere. Everywhere you turn, there is food. But where is the nutrition? So I feel the next problem is going to be the nutritional security for our country, for maybe the world also in 20 years. So this states a need for nutritional sustainability as well, because we need to protect the soil. We can't pamper the soil with lots of medicines and then make it reproduce. It's just like, hope the audience understands this. And also, when you go for organic food, we just see whether the food is organic or not. But what we have to focus is whether it is a heirloom variety or a hybrid variety. So I can do an organic farming with a hybrid variety, as well as I can do an organic farming with indigenous rice varieties, heirloom varieties of vegetables, all these. These have the highest nutritional and antioxidant levels. So as you said, you need not have higher portions, and even your hunger. Certain varieties like its hand-pounded rice has lots of fibers. So it keeps you full, and it also is brimming with nutrients. this is what I feel is very important. So nutritional sustainability plays a key role. And for preventing lifestyle diseases, I feel it starts from the seeds, not from the plate. So when it starts from the seed, it comes to the plate, it's going to be a healthy one. As I said, it's going to be a heirloom or an indigenous variety. So we can, in that way, promote organic and local farming. We should be very much aware about all these aspects which is happening around us. And one small request for the audience is, like, whenever we have big weddings conducted together, we serve food on the banana leaf, but we have a plastic bottle on top for the water. So we can use something which is biodegradable, because when people take off the waste, they take it along with the bottles. And both the recyclable waste, which is banana leaf, and the unrecyclable thing is getting mixed. And when coming down to your question, to be precise, the lifestyle diseases which we can avoid is to start sleeping early, because we tend to overeat when we run out of a sleep cycle. It is very important. It drives our hormone level extremely unstable. So the sleep cycle will promote the growth hormones and the reproduction hormones. So you will have a proper health, and you don't overeat. Then you tend to overeat, you become emotionally overeater, because it gives you a reward mechanism into your body. So all that happens, and then you develop something like, there is something called as genetic predisposition. Say, for an example, a person A eats, person A and B is there. Person A eats the healthy food, and he lives a very active lifestyle. Person B is going for the junk food and late night sleeping pattern, something like that. So they both reproduce, they get a child. So the person B child will be very easily disposable to obesity, whereas person A's child will be on the healthier level. So this kind of nutritional awareness, sustainability to promote a healthier world is what my vision is all about. That is why I am doing this organic vegetables, which are heirloom varieties. So my vision for the world is to bring a stronger next generation. So in this way, we can reduce the lifestyle diseases. So personally, for our clients, we have suggested a native variety of rice called Katayanam, which is native in Tamil Nadu. It has a very high fiber and also controls the type 2 diabetes. So we have given this variety to lots of type 2 initial diabetic patients, and they have seen their levels go down, but only with proper diet and medical counseling. So all these things we can make it happen, but as I said, we shouldn't eat this 1 day or 2 days and then come back for the result. It should be in your body for at least 45 days. It should stay in your blood levels. So in this way, we can have a nutritional and a healthy society, which is also one key aspect for a sustainable world.
Yes, thank you. I was hearing what you were saying. I'm living in Saudi Arabia. I mentioned that before, no? And then, so I just want to say that it's very important what you are mentioning regarding prevention and public health prevention as well. And as a dentist, I can give you my perspective about what's the importance of protecting your body while eating the proper food. And this is pretty interesting because everything starts from the soil. As you were saying before, if the soil is not well prepared, we won't have the proper nutrients, the proper vitamins that or vegetables will. Once we eat, we will gonna have a strong teeth, for example. We will have a lack of minerals, magnesium, vitamin D3, or vitamin D, all the minerals such as K2 as well. So we require those kind of minerals to evaluate how our teeth are. So from a dental perspective, I can assure you that once we eat, because it's the first source, the vegetables and anything we eat is the first source. So the mouth is the first door to digest afterwards with the enzymes, everything, and then have the proper bacteria. That would be the microbiota. We have a microbiota in the oral health, in the mouth, that will gonna protect us from don't having any kind of disruption. Once we have disruptions, then this will pass through the stomach, and the microbiota that is on the stomach will be affected. So what I mean with this is that it's pretty interesting and pretty important to remember and to mention here that the food that we eat will be exactly as how we will feel and as how we will be in our health afterwards. So, for example, another thing that I want to share is that caries, for example, from a prevention point of view, once we eat our minerals and once we have the proper minerals, we don't need neither to brush our teeth. That's a fact. But then we can also reverse caries, okay, the caries, if we don't, for example, the caries that are in cavities, like holes already, okay, to make it more easier to explain, we can prevent it by providing to our patients the proper nutrients. How can we do this? We can do, for example, exams to evaluate the minerals on the body of the patients. So going back into the same, everything is start from the soil. If the soil is sick, we will be sick. So the pesticides and all these chemicals also affect and disrupt our body. And it is a fact also that what you have mentioned before regarding the water, the plastic bottles, it has BPA, okay, that is leaching if we place them on the sun. So once this leach the BPA will gonna come into our bodies. For example, that's that's the MAMA, BPA, bisphenol A, and that will be coming to the bodies of us and start to disrupt hormonally our function. So it's mimicking the function of the ordinary hormone. So what I mean with this is also affecting the teeth, by the way, because once you see these moth stains on the enamel on the tooth, sometimes you see people or mamas that has the teeth with a white moth. This is because of the BPA. Diabetes is related 77% by BPA. So this means that all the patients that have diabetes type 2, there is a high risk of being connected with BPA. So they drink a lot of this with not passing through this proper, security, food security, water security that will protect our health.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you so
it.
much. Thank you for sharing that. I think this brings us to the end of the session. I had more questions for all of you, but in the interest of time. So we are going to end here. Just wanted to thank everybody. Thank you, organizers, for bringing us all together. It's always a pleasure to attend your events. Thank you. Big thank you to all the panelists for your participation and for all your candid responses. And thank you, audience. It was really great. We wanted a participatory event and that session, and that's what happened. So thank you all for being here. Just remember that the conversation doesn't end here. It's a continuous journey towards a more sustainable and a responsible world, and it's up to each one of us. So let's aim to take the essence of today's session beyond the room and incorporate in our daily lives. Thank you all so much.
Well,
It's
give them a big
pleasure.
round of applause. Thank you, Indrani. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Dharmesh, Portia, and Ravi.